Welcome to Bear Lifestyle, the podcast where we speak up and speak out about all taboo topics to make them normal and acceptable. I'm your host, Simona Spark, a best-selling author, international speaker, transformational coach, and so many other things. Beyond anything else, I'm a woman who stopped following other people's rules and started creating my own. In this space, we are ready to get naked by stripping away insecurities and judgments and all kinds of limitations and reaching in for the essence of who we really are bare. Beautiful, authentic, real, and ever evolving. Please join the conversation by sharing with us your insights and your questions. You could email us directly to transformation@simonaspark.com, or you could DM us on Instagram at Simona Spark World. Thank you for joining me today. Let's begin. We're here. What are you drinking? What are you having?
I have some green tea.
Wonderful. Well, cheers to you.
Like you've got, what, is that vodka or?
Yeah, no, it's collagen water. It's the first time it's the second bottle of it. It's really yummy.
Well, there's collagen water. Good. I mean, presumably that's water with collagen mixed into it.
I mean, I'm not paid to advertise for this Avast water, but this one has collagen. It's delicious.
Delicious until you remember that collagen is stuff that's rendered out of animal tendons.
I'll take it, as I don't eat meat and I'm a woman of a certain age. I take the extra collagen in every shape and form.
Okay.
So, the promise was a week ago to gather here, the both of us, and to see, at least so far, where did we land individually back into our lives. We did have a little conversation a few days ago, but yeah, since things have moved and shifted for me and possibly for you too, and just want to have that conversation about how do we integrate a breakup? What are the pieces that we need to pay attention to, specifically, individually, how this relationship had changed me and change you.
Yeah.
So that's the topic.
Yeah, okay.
It's a long title.
Yeah. So the title is How Relationships Change Us and how we integrate that, how we deal with that.
How do we integrate those changes? Yes.
Yeah. It's a big question.
Yeah. So, like what have you noticed for the past, I don't know, how many weeks it's been? 2, 3?
I think it's at least 3. I was trying to think today in the pool, just as I was swimming along. I think it's at least 3, if not 4.
It's just times pass by differently for us. So
yeah, well,
since last time I saw you in person,
yeah.
How are things with you?
Good. I am back to my quite simple, almost monastic life living in my apartment. It took me probably for a couple of weeks. I was kind of a little bit out of equilibrium with my yoga practice and my meditation. Actually, I was getting bored of it. It wasn't really doing much for me. And I felt like I just had to persevere with it. Really, yeah, that's been a bit of a process that I've gone through over the last few weeks. As for well, breakups, I just practice gratitude for the time that I spent with you, that we spent together, that the 3 months that we spent in a long distance relationship, and just for it having happened at all. I just think there's nothing to be sad about. There's only things to be grateful for, and then take that in. So really take that in. Just go, wow, grateful. Yeah, that's where I've landed. Grateful that we can still talk as well, like this, and outside of this. Yeah, that's also really nice. Yeah. How about you?
Indeed. Very nice. Well, I do have additional questions because I do want to drill into what are, if any, changes and shifts for you as an individual. But for me, that was the focus, actually, like just watching myself, what are the differences? What are the differences between the woman that flew across the world to see you and the one that came back?
Mm.
Like really looking at those differences into how I think, how I feel, if I have different views on, relationships, on love, on men, on conversation, communication, transparency, vulnerability, everything that goes into, and of course, all of them to point back to me, like, as we say, those little changes leave a print on us. And it's like, okay, so that's how that thing changed. This is how I see it now. What that, make me now? Who am I being now with this new, not necessarily belief. I think it's not a belief yet, but definitely this new shift. Like, for example, this that you just said, being friend with my ex, I never had that. And it started with like, oh, this is so exciting. And it's like kind of egotistic explanation of like, oh, I grow that much that I know how to do this now. But then it's like, no, it's more than that. We talk in our conversation the other day, it's about honesty. It's all I could explain everything, why this worked like that, and what it's been pleasant and loving. And the breakup itself is because we've been honest. And by that, I don't want to say that, oh, we didn't fight, and we didn't fight. We did have disagreements, but we both being honest and transparent about where we are with what we think and what we feel. So then there is not any icky feelings there or resentment or whatever the shit that I experienced in every single relationship I had before.
Yeah.
Those frictions and things that had been not said, or, and then when the relationship ends, they're bubbling up. They finally, want to be said and heard.
Right. These are all the things that annoyed me about you for all those times.
Yes,
Yeah.
a long list of things, right?
Yeah.
And to be honest, like just having this relationship with you, it really had me look at previous relationships and look at myself of how I evaluate it and how I feel about it and what I judge about it, and again to clean up the bullshit around it that I put on, and to say, yeah, including that, making a long list of flaws. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
If we didn't have the relationship to look at that list while in it, what's the point of looking at it and went out of it,
Well, precisely. And unless I guess it helps you learn for the future, but if all you want to do is hurt the other person on the way out, then I'm not sure that's gonna really do anyone any good, because you hurt yourself just as much. Um, yeah, I, I've always pretty much, I would say, thought of a relationship as a transition. Um, even from my first one. Oh, I never subscribed to the idea that you can't be friends with your ex. Like, you start off not ever knowing that person; they don't exist for you. You meet them, you have a relationship with them, and then you pass on into another phase of that relationship. In a sense, I don't really see why the fact that you happen to also have a physical relationship with them prevents you from having any other kind of relationship with them. Or why does that change? Why does that change everything?
You are looking at someone who truly believes that being friend with the ex is bullshit.
Mm,
That's what I believe until last month.
right.
I know exactly why I believe like that,
Mm,
because the lack of honesty and transparency,
right.
because the trust has been broken while in the relationship.
Mm,
And then on top of that, you put the hurt of whatever breaking up, and it's very hard to build up trust with somebody that you're not connected with if you couldn't have that trust well together. So, and being honest and transparent, I don't know, might be the foundation for trust, or also along with being vulnerable, along with, I'm just gonna show up in my bad day and be all weird and messy or whatever the shit, and trust that the person next to me is just gonna let me be.
yeah.
It's not gonna use it against me next time when the things are tight. So I'm sorry to say, but that has been my experience in previous relationships. So then when you're out of it, it's hard to make peace with those, especially if you don't have a communication with the other person.
Yeah.
But when everything is out and on the table, and then yes, 100% is just the
Mm,
relationship that redefines
mm,
to something else.
yeah. Yeah. No, I could see that if there had been a fundamental breakdown of trust, as with any other friendship, for example,
Absolutely, yeah.
it'd be hard to continue. Um,
Or family member, or like regardless,
right,
it's a matter of trust. Love is
yeah,
not enough.
right, and
Love is not enough. Trust need to be there, vulnerability need to be there, respect need to be there,
yeah,
compassion, understanding, all the things. Like love is not enough.
yeah, yeah, and so and that trust can only be built through openness, honesty, and a degree of vulnerability. I mean, being able to be vulnerable is an indicator that you trust them. In some ways, you don't necessarily
Both
build trust by
ways.
being vulnerable. Right, exactly.
And that's the point that I want to make, both ways. Because
Yeah.
for me, that's how I lose trust previously, being vulnerable and getting nothing in return.
Yeah.
So like, it's very interesting how you just lose trust
Mm,
and kind of retrieve, like, okay, I'm not safe to be myself.
mm,
It's basically what's happening, right?
yeah.
Or to ask for what I need for this person,
Mm,
fearing that I'm gonna be judged.
yeah.
So many different things that the trust get broke, and then what's that? So luckily we didn't have that.
Yeah. Well,
I held
that's
nothing back.
progress.
So you said that's progress.
Yeah. So, well, um, so that's all. that's always been my intention. That hasn't always been realized, though. I have to say that the from the legion of exes, um, I'm only I would say friends with maybe three, and still acquainted with a couple more. I wouldn't say friends. I mean, if I were to rock up, probably have a beer with them and probably have a good old chat, but I wouldn't say I'm friends with them. But
But see, like even as friends, there are so many different types of friendships, right?
well, right, that's true.
So same goes for exes.
Yeah,
But
yeah, right.
this progress that you mentioned for me is this like personal healing that one does,
Mm,
and then like meeting somebody, they also done their work, right? And when I'm saying that is like this inner work and this healing and all the things that we're going through, like whatever majority of the work, whatever majority is, because we never done, right?
yeah.
Uh, so if I learn something, I learned that in our relationship, that's very important to me.
Mm,
It's a big part of connection with that person, someone that are not afraid to look in, they're not afraid to show up for their own transformation and for their own healing, as I am on the same journey. So are we going in the same direction or not?
yeah.
I also met people that maybe they just consider looking at it. And as selfish that might sound, I'm like, I don't have time for that. I'm
Mm,
already way ahead. I need to go and connect with people that are here,
yeah,
parallel roads with me.
yeah,
I can't be stopping and waiting for somebody to catch up. I did that dance before and it didn't work, so I'm not doing it again.
have you ever met someone who is a few steps ahead of you?
Absolutely.
You feel like, yeah.
Yeah. And that I feel that it's up to the person, because depends how big the gap is. And,
Mm,
uh, you know, yeah, I will actually love to be with somebody that's ahead of me. Uh, ahead enough to stretch me into it,
yeah,
but not too far that I can't catch up.
yeah,
And it's who's to say, because we have our own speed, but it's the same thing with the gap. Like, how big is this gap?
yeah,
Can one reach to grab the other one, or can both reach and actually hold each other? If the gap is too big, it just requires too much work, too much effort. Like, not willing
yeah,
to work anymore.
yeah.
I like when things are just naturally, organically flowing,
Mm,
and then it's effortless.
yeah. Yeah, it shouldn't feel like work, that's for sure.
So that's what I learned.
Yeah. Um, what did I learn? I mean, lots of things, but I mean, in reflection, actually, it was a good lesson in being on my own again afterwards and not feeling a sense of loss.
Mm.
Like, quite most, actually, yes, I would say every relationship that's ever like ended for me has always been associated with a real sense of grief and loss, and a sense that all of a sudden time has passed and you feel your mortality. You think, oh my goodness, that's so much time has just gone, and it's gone like that. And so it's a loss of, it's a grief for that person that you don't have in your life anymore, plus of a loss of time and life that you're suddenly reminded is now gone. Uh,
I'm sorry you feel that way. That must be
well,
terrible.
Yeah, I feel deeply when, yeah. And this time, and I think it's because I'd spent a
Oh,
lot of
so
time.
you don't talk about this time. I was like, oh shit, that's terrible.
Yeah, no, so this is what I'm saying is this time it was different because I think it was because I'd spent so much time on my own prior to meeting you,
Mm.
but also I'd spent a lot of time on my own with the more or less the express purpose of really, you know, building myself up, building my own resilience, but also just, you know, really working on myself so that when when I met you, I was really my whole self, and so there was no sense that you like was the missing part of a puzzle or something like that. It just added another puzzle onto the side of it.
Mhm.
Um, so when we, I wouldn't say broke up. I don't really like the word breaking up, but when we into it
And our romantic relationship.
and our romantic relationship or romantic phase, then it didn't feel like I'd lost something.
Mm.
Felt like I had gained a incredible life experience and gained another friend, and that the time that we'd spent together like didn't feel like it had gone. It felt like it was still with me in a sense because we'd really been in the moment and you know spent a lot of time really integrating it physically. So it didn't feel like a loss. It just felt like a gain. All that felt like gain.
Yeah, same. And I think that's key is like walking in a relationship as a whole, not working in a relationship as a needing someone
Mm.
to complete you and whatever. Because of course, when that person is gone, then it's like, oh, a part of me is gone.
I read there's a book I saw in a bookshop that says the book was called "If Somebody Says You Complete Me, Run." That's the title of the
Yeah,
book.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. I can't live without you.
yeah.
Once upon a time that we consider them being so romantic, and now it's like,
Right.
oh, they're actually creepy. Like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And I feel the same. And I think that was another thing where we really connected because I've been on my own for 3 years or so before I met you. And I mean, dating, but not in a relationship. And it's been the same thing. Like, I know for a fact that in order to meet this amazing person, I need to be amazing first. So what do I need
Mm.
to do to become that amazing person?
Yeah.
And it's just up and up only from here. Like it's a new standard.
Yeah.
It's a new starting. I will not have anything less than. It has to be at least, but better more.
Yeah.
And I don't even give a shit when people says, oh, you just you want more and whatever. Like, absolutely I want more, but the simple reason that I become more and more every day, so it only makes sense to match with somebody at the same caliber.
Yeah.
So yeah, the standards have been up level as we evolve, as this experience grow
Mm.
us both
Mm.
as individuals. I have no doubts about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, as I told you when I left, good luck to the next person.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's it. Um.
You are about to walk into high standards
Yeah.
on so many levels, right?
Exciting to think that that person is wandering around, not knowing on earth who you are and what's about to happen.
Yeah. And I believe that even when you say like, oh, have you met somebody that it's ahead of you? It's there waiting for me
Yeah.
to catch up.
Yeah,
you know,
there they are living their lives.
living their lives happy, like don't need
Yeah,
anything,
yeah,
anyone.
yeah.
And that's the beauty though, because honestly, like every now and then, even the sense like after I left, I was just like, not interested in dating or whatever. But then it's like, okay, am I? And I'm like, truth is, yeah, I'm ready to have a partner. And also, truth is, I'm not in a rush or anything.
Mm,
And another truth is, I finally get to the point where I'm 100% comfortable to putting myself first, taking care of myself first,
yeah,
and truly believing that that's the way to do it. And then things will just follow organically, and it's nothing to do or to strategize or to whatever the shit, It's
yeah.
like, yeah, no needs,
Mm,
lots of wants. So I like to stay in the land of want and left the land of need.
mm. That's interesting. I would frame it for myself as try and live in the land of contentment. Um,
Well, that means you have no needs. You
yeah,
satisfied yourself.
yeah,
So
not
you're there or you want more.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, so I'm trying to live more of a contented life without wants. I have plenty of needs, but there's not much I want these days. I kind of
Hmm. That's
quite
why
like
we didn't work out.
other than other than want to get out of Surabaya into
Yeah.
some clean air.
Yeah. That's
Um,
a need at that point.
that's a need, actually. That it's become a need. Dreadful thread.
So what's you say you sit in gratitude.
Yeah.
Would you share what you're grateful for?
Well, like I said before, um, I could apply this to lots of things that have ended or that aren't around anymore. That when you think of when if one is sad about something that one doesn't have or that's ended or whatever, then one can at least be grateful that it happened at all rather than didn't happen. I mean, the alternative is it never happened.
Yeah.
And would you rather that? Um, I
Yeah.
certainly wouldn't. For even some negative experiences in my life, I'm certainly I would have preferred I dealt with some things differently, but I'm glad they happened at all. The alternative was, them not happening and me not having the experience or the learning from it. So in this case, yeah, I'm really grateful. I'm grateful for everything. Grateful that I met you. Grateful that we've spent time together. Grateful that we were able to have this long distance relationship, and I certainly learned a lot from our conversations as well. Huge amount. As someone who's also studying coaching as well as I am at the moment, from having the experience of being with someone as such an experienced and amazing coach was pretty amazing. Or that sometimes it was intense. When we had some of our conversations were like, whoa, I was like really having to look inwardly, and that felt it was intense, but it all was all good.
Truth is, every conversation has been stimulating.
Yeah,
Like, and yeah, I cannot be into a boring conversation.
no, me neither.
I might
Me neither.
suffer into one, but the second one would be like, okay, look,
Yeah,
bye.
yeah,
Be like, bye.
yeah, great. Yeah, you're a great conversationalist, actually, is what you are. That's why you're so good at what you
So
do.
do you.
And I'm grateful that we could transition to this relationship that we continue to have,
Yes.
without pain,
Yes.
and that we get to see each other continue to grow and do what we do. So there's literally nothing to be regretful about in all of that for me.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all of that.
Yeah.
I like when you said earlier that you, for the first time, apparently you didn't feel like you waste that time, that months are gone.
Yeah.
And I really resonated with that because it really felt like it just added to my life. And for
Yeah.
that, I'll be forever grateful. And I've
Yeah.
been dating, for years. And I used to say, just being arrogant, right? Like I don't need a man, I want a man. But if you don't bring anything to my life, what's the point of having you around?
Mm,
Because I'm good already as I am.
mm.
And I mean, that being said, like being with you was a lot of adding to my life. So, oh, not to mention the yoga, like God, it's like, it's forever. I'll be grateful. It's life changing.
That's been wonderful for me as well, actually, to have been able to, I guess, facilitate that
To
with you.
open that door that nobody managed to open that door for me for the past decade since I'm
Yeah.
flirting with this practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every time I just got intimidated and confused and feeling less or
Mm,
incapable or
mm.
all the things. And now
Yeah.
I'm like seriously.
Yeah. It is a real privilege to teach yoga, and to I'm privileged that I get to have passed the tradition to you, and that I get to occasionally give you advice when you ask for it. Um,
I'm your living testimonial. So every time the client want to come, just send them to this episode.
yeah, right. Thank you. Um,
Seriously.
yeah, yeah. No, it's a bit like the privilege one has of coaching. I would imagine I've done it.
Yeah.
With a few coaching clients, but when someone gives you their undivided attention, and you have that conversation, um, it's a real privilege and a pleasure.
It's a mastery level of meeting your student. I don't care if you're a teacher, yoga instructor, coach, whatever you are, to
Mm,
meet your student where they are.
mm,
I mean, they teach that a lot in coaching,
yeah.
but that's not sufficient. It also is to see them where they are,
Yeah.
to understand where they are,
Yeah.
to really listen to the experience and what they think and how they feel about where they are.
Mm,
And then as a teacher, as I felt that as a student with you, as a teacher, you find the doorway. Like I will never forget, you say, okay, let's talk about yoga philosophy. I'm like, what? You know, and you're like, yoga is not about bending and whatever. I'm like, what? And till this day, I was talking with one of my girlfriends the other day, and she's like, I can't believe you do this every day. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this and I'm enjoying it. And I'm like, Tim, make me understand that finally remove the thing that yoga is not about how much you could bend or how cute your outfit is. It's about something totally different. And I was like, what? So I
yeah.
see that with the coaching clients too. When they come and they say, oh, I heard this a millions of times and now I get it.
Mm,
They get it because they've been heard,
yeah.
you know, and find the doorway to like, okay, this is where we're gonna enter, to
Yeah,
explore and transform and shift and all the things.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting how often, yeah, it's when something's been staring you in the face for a long time, and then suddenly it clicks.
Yeah.
It happened with me and yoga. So, I kind of shunned the whole philosophical part of it, but what I was feeling in my yoga practice for years was this sense of completeness. So, after a yoga class, I was feeling something, or even during a asana class, I was feeling it. But it was only when on my yoga teacher training, this is 10 years into my practice, um, day one, that my mentor, we had our first yoga philosophy class, and like I literally cried. I was like, oh my God, this is like, how did I not see this?
Well, I'm
Uh,
glad that you helped me skip the 10 years.
well, that's it. And it's kind of why I do coaching as well, is because I wish I'd had coaching at least 10 years ago. Probably 20 years ago would have been much better.
Mm,
Um, if I can help people cut the corner a
yeah.
little bit and live authentically sooner than I did, then I think my job will be done. Same with,
That is the job.
yeah, that is exactly it. Yeah.
Yes, so it's coming down to, again, visibility. And I was writing an article today about visibility. And of course, I always take it back into the relationship, because what come out through my writing was that being visible is one thing, but being seen, it's different. And I was contemplating on, visibility online, with the business, or visibility even with this yoga practice that I'm putting there every day. And I realized that I work myself into a space that I have no fear of public or being visible, or like visibility doesn't fear me anymore. It's like, it's just a thing. I hit the record button and let's go, right? And the same in a relationship, like, yeah, I'm gonna show up as I am and all that. But that it's up to me. Being seen is not up to me anymore.
Mm.
It's up to the other person. And that's what the biggest difference is. And nobody's talking about it. So first I'm talking about it here. I'm going to publish that article or whatever I'm going to do with it, because that's all it is about in a relationship. We talk about being vulnerable, and why do we retrieve back? Because the person in front of us doesn't see us. Like, if you just sit there quiet, like, even don't judge or anything, but you don't see my vulnerability, I'm not being seen. I'm just being visible. I'm just being transparent or honest, or all the things. But if I'm not seen, there is no connection. And, social media is a bitch, and there's so many algorithms and all that. But that's exactly what I look at it. Like, it's a lot of people watching, but who sees me? Very little.
Mm.
I felt seen with you, and that I'm grateful for. And that's the new standard. And I will no longer be with somebody that doesn't see me. Period.
That's great. Yeah, that's a really good observation and insight.
So on that note, how do we close this? Because we've been here longer than usual.
Yeah, it hasn't felt like it.
Well, we don't talk every day, 2-3 hours a day anymore. So
Lots to catch up on.
lots to catch up with.
Well, I think that's a really good note. Be with someone who sees you. Yeah.
We agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good insight.
Yeah. It's not enough to just be bear.
Mm.
That's up to you. But if you're really seen, it's up to the other person. And if they don't,
Mm.
they should not be in my life.
And you'll know if they do.
All right, then. We close on that. You still have beverages?
A touch
Cheers,
of
everyone.
Mhm. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in today. Please follow, rate, and review your favorite episode and share it with your friends. I would love to hear from you. What inspired you? What triggered you? And what interests you? For more bear experiences, please go to simonaspark.com/bear. And for a daily bear inspiration, please follow us on Instagram at Simona Spark World. I can't wait to have you back. Until then, be bear. Beautiful, authentic, real, and ever evolving. Lots of love, my friend.